Hello and welcome to News 9. I'm Aditya Raj Kaul and this is The Diplomat. India and Hungary have had a diplomatic cordial relationship since the early 1950s, and both countries continue to strengthen their partnership through high-level diplomatic visits, cultural collaborations, and economic collaborations as well, especially in the areas of renewable energy, tourism, and defense as well. To speak about that and a lot more, joining me right now is the Ambassador of Hungary to India, István Szabó. Thank you very much, Ambassador, for joining us here on The Diplomat.
Thank you.
Let me begin by asking you about your own experience here in India. Since early 2023, you have been here in New Delhi. You've been meeting a lot of people. You've been interacting with Indians from all across the country. A different kind of a country with different cultures, different languages, different food. How's the experience been like, really?
Yeah, you are true. Actually, I arrived in 2022 in December. So it is my second year of posting here in India. But I like to say that I enjoy it very much. So it is a very busy posting here, and I enjoy, the diversity of India in many ways. I mean, you mentioned languages, food, culture. So I enjoy it very much. So actually, I have a very good feeling, about India now.
Well, that's great to know. Let me then turn to the bilateral ties between India and Hungary. Since the diplomatic ties were established in, I think, 1948, and thereafter, of course, there's been a history to the ties as well. But how would you describe the diplomatic ties now and the shared history between India and Hungary?
Yes, you are right. We established our diplomatic relationship in 1948. So we celebrated the 75th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations last year. What I like to say that it is a very close and friendly relations, between the two nations. And I would say that it is based on mutual trust and respect. And that's why, it is very important for Hungary to have this kind of relations, with India. Of course, the last 76 years, was full of events, and I'd like to highlight two events. The first visit of the freely elected president of Hungary, Árpád Gönc, was in 1991. His first visit was to India, and it was actually his first visit abroad. And there's a special background because Árpád Gönc was a freedom fighter in the revolution in Hungary in 1956. And he was sentenced to death after the revolution for his participation, in freedom fighting. And as a result of the intervention of the Indian leadership with the Soviet Union, they saved his life. So it was a very touching moment, and his first visit, demonstrated the close ties, between India and Hungary. And the second example, probably I'd like to bring up is Minister Szijjártó, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Hungary, visited Delhi this year in February. It was a very successful visit. He met with three ministers, with the Minister of External Affairs, Mr. Jaishankar. He met with Minister Commerce and Industry, Piyush Goyal. He met the Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas, Minister Puri. Very successful conversations and good meetings. And he addressed the CII, India-Europe Business and Sustainability Conclave. It was a very good event. And then he met, with a number of leaders of Indian companies investing in Hungary. So I think that the high-level visits, demonstrate that there are a lot of opportunities, to cooperate between the two countries, not only in a global political arena, but also, economic and trade. You mentioned cultural ties, education, so in different areas, and we are very happy with that.
Well, that's great that there are high-level visits that are happening between India and Hungary. But one of the pillars of this strengthening of the ties is the economic collaboration. How are the economic ties between India and Hungary at present? You gave a glimpse of it through some of the visits and interactions that have happened. But how do you plan to enhance economic cooperation and trade between India and Hungary, especially in areas like IT, pharma, and the automotive industry?
Yeah, if we have a look at the numbers, we are delighted to see a growing number, because the volume of our bilateral trade has been growing, and we reached the level of 1.2 billion US dollars. And I must say that it was doubled for the last 8 years. So we are happy with that. And there are a lot of opportunities in this area. I'd like to highlight, for example, pharmaceutical industry, health industry, pharmaceutical products. We have a joint venture, of the biggest Hungarian company, Richter Gedeon, with its partner company in India, Temis Ltd. In Vapi. And on this joint venture, they set up a manufacturing plant. And it is a good example for that. And also, we think that Hungary can be a gateway, to Europe for Indian investors. And that's why, many companies are in Hungary. And it is, mainly in the areas like also pharmaceutical products, metals and chemicals, automotives, IT. So it is a really promising area.
One other area from the very beginning where there have been strong ties and there is emphasis on the relationship is the cultural exchange that often happens. Now, both Hungary and India are known for its art, for music, for also literature and films. So what more is being done? I believe that there is an ICCR Amrita Shergill Cultural Center in Budapest and other places as well. But here in Delhi also we have a Hungarian Cultural Center where there is gradual exchanges that happen. So what all is being done to promote the cultural arena?
Yeah, you are right. I must say that we have a very good institutional background, and this domain, probably the oldest one and the most productive one, the cultural area. And you mentioned, the Liszt Institute, Hungarian Cultural Center here in Delhi, and in Budapest, we have the Amrita Shergill Indian Cultural Center. And they do their best, to promote cultural heritage of both countries, India and Hungary. And the local audience, can enjoy all the performances, they can get within these institutions. And I think, that, yeah, the mission, I think, to showcase, the common heritage, the common cultural heritage between India and Hungary. And you will be amazed, how many common things we have, in the past. So it's a very noble mission.
Well, that's great. One of the emphasis is also globally on research and innovation. So in that arena, how are universities or institutions between India and Hungary now coming together to collaborate, to research, to innovate, to strengthen these ties forward, because scientific area, research area is the way forward to invent things, to in fact go forward and build these ties forward.
Yeah. What I like to say that we have an agreement, on the scientific and technological cooperation between India and Hungary. It was signed in 2008. And this is a very good basis, for working together. And we have a common research fund, between India and Hungary, and it supports, to support all research and development projects and programs. So it is a very good program, very good program. As far as the institutional cooperation is concerned, we have more than 50 universities, having cooperation with partner universities. So it's a big number if you think about it. And we have almost 30 research centers also, having agreement and even MOUs, for working together. It's a very good achievement, I guess. In this respect, I'd like to mention the Stipendium Hungaricum scholarship program, because each year Hungary offers 200 places for Indian students, to study in Hungary in different universities. It is a very popular program. We have more than 2,000 applicants, in a year. So it's a big number. And at the moment, we have more than 1,300 Indian students studying in Hungary.
Last couple of years, one talking point has been defense, has been what are the defense ties that India has with other countries. And at a time when there are wars underway, defense capabilities are being looked more closely. What do you think are the opportunities that lie between India and Hungary, especially when it comes to joint military training, defense manufacturing, and other areas of defense?
Yeah, on defense area, it is again an area, with a lot of opportunities, I guess. You mentioned the joint training, military education. Those are, the traditional ways of cooperation. But what we can see is the rapid modernization of the Indian military. And, it is a great opportunity for the Hungarian defense industry sector. And I can see the way forward, especially in the area of research and development. It can be a very, very good basis, for further cooperation, not only in the defense area, but also, in trade and industrial areas.
I see. Also, tourism is the pillar of any bilateral ties as well. I have rough numbers of about more than 30,000 Indians visiting Hungary till now in the last few months. Perhaps you could correct me. But how important is tourism when it comes to India and Hungary? What steps are being taken to promote general tourism, ecotourism? There is emphasis on sustainable tourism now between these two countries. And are, apart from the government to government, G2G, other private stakeholders, individuals also playing a role? For instance, the VFS, which is a visa agency that facilitates visa, especially between European countries. What role are you looking at, and how to strengthen this tourism?
Yeah, this area is growing. What we can see that your number is correct. More than 30,000 Indian tourists. Hungary is a very popular tourist destination, especially Budapest. We have a lot of incentive business travels, to Hungary. Also tourists and education. So it's a very popular destination. What we can do, it is we organize a lot of events, you know, for local trade and travel agencies, you know, workshops, road shows, you know, to discuss all the issues, you know, how to promote Hungary, you know. You mentioned ecotourism. It's a very perspective direction, you know, for tourism. And of course, we have some limitations. For example, we are working on the project now, you know, to establish a direct flight between India and Budapest, you know. But at the moment, we don't have it, you know. And it is also, you know, one of the milestone, you know, to accelerate, you know, this process. Other than that, you know, we are happy with this development in the tourism area. You know, we work together very closely, you know, with the Hungarian Tourism Agency, you know, with other agencies in Hungary, and hope that you know, those figures will be higher and higher.
That's wonderful. When it comes to India and European Union, how do you see the ties growing further? And if I can ask you, what role does Hungary play to strengthen India and EU ties? Especially, there is talk of the free trade agreement that is also underway right now. So how does one look towards future when it comes to India and EU through Hungary?
Yeah, in June or July. In July, you know, we took over the presidency of the European Council. You know, it's a rotating presidency. You know, it lasts 6 months usually, and we say that Hungary will act as an honest broker. You know, working on a close cooperation between the member states, between different institutions, you know, for the secure and safe and strong Europe. And in this respect, what you mentioned, Hungary's goal is to be a gateway, you know, because Hungary has a strategic location, you know, in Europe, in Central Europe. And it is a very good thing, you know, to play a role, you know, like, you know, and I mentioned the Hungarian projects, you know, to get more investments from India, and it will be a very good opportunity, you know, to use this gateway, you know, for Indians.
Ambassador, how do you think that India and Hungary can come together when it comes to having global governance reforms, especially at the UN Security Council and on international trade? Do you also think that India, and there are other countries as well, who should be part of the UN Security Council? With the changing world, there needs to be changing dynamism, and we need to live up to the times.
Yeah, you know, India, it is the most populous country, you know, and with the rapid growth of industry, so I guess that has more and more, you know, I mean, the weight of India is increasing, you know, and we support, you know, India in this respect, and we should work together, and Hungary, you know, supports India's initiatives in this respect in many ways.
I see. Also, looking at the regional security situation, especially in Asia, how do you see this regional security situation when it comes to Asia Pacific, when it comes to Indo-Pacific, and there is a big elephant in the room, and that is China, which many people have been speaking about, especially the Western countries. We know about the Quad and how Quad has been trying to work in the international waters as well to have free navigation, free waters, especially in the South China Sea and the Indo-Pacific. So how do you see the regional security situation in Asia, and what role do you see India has in that regard?
From Hungarian perspective, the security and peace and prosperity in Asia, it's it has an utmost importance, for Europe and also for Hungary, of course, because any change in this respect, has a direct impact, on Europe and other regions. So that's why, we are advocating, for peace, for security, and for solving all the problems, in a peaceful way, using diplomacy, not military force. So that's why, Hungary is for the peace and security in Asia.
One critical area, apart from the security situation, is also climate change. I'm sure Hungary believes in the sustainable development goals of the United Nations. So how do you think India and Hungary can come together on the same page to work further in regard to the SDGs, and especially when it comes to environment sustainability and climate change?
India has a lot of interesting initiatives in this regard, and I'd like to highlight two of them. The International Solar Alliance,
Yes.
it is also an Indian initiative, and we joined this alliance, appreciating the goals of this alliance. We joined it last year. I presented the instrument of accreditation, and the other example is the Global Biofuels Alliance. It is also an Indian initiative under the G20 presidency, and Hungary is the third country from the European Union who joined this alliance. So we appreciate those initiatives very much.
When it comes to technology and innovation, that is also something futuristic. So when it comes to technology and innovation, what kind of collaborations are you looking at? What's happening right now? And what is the roadmap ahead?
Hungary has, many state-of-the-art technologies, and we are trying to get those companies, to India, and we have good examples, because I'd like to mention, two examples of the involvement, here. The first one is water management. We have a company here, and now they have a pilot project here in India, providing arsenic-free drinking water, in small communities and remote areas. It's a very, very promising project, I guess. And the second one is a wastewater management. So in this respect, we have a lot of new state-of-the-art technologies, and it is the main task, to connect those companies, and we can contribute, to India's efforts, in this respect, to tackle those difficulties here.
Now, Ambassador, another difficulty that the world faces right now is the Russia-Ukraine war. It will be almost 3 years now. How do you see this war, going forward, and especially in the Indian context, where the Indian Prime Minister has repeatedly said that this is not an era of war. He has said that solutions cannot be found in the battlefield, and he has tried to be a pacemaker. He met both President Putin and President Zelensky and told them that peace is the way forward, there needs to be dialogue, but at the same time he has condemned the Russian aggression and the killings that have happened over the last almost 3 years. How do you see India's pragmatic foreign policy when it comes to the Russia-Ukraine war in resolving the conflict and the way forward?
Yeah, after taking over the presidency in July, we launched a peace mission. Our Prime Minister visited also, Ukraine, Moscow, and Beijing. So we support very much, those initiatives, and we appreciate, the efforts of India. And you are absolutely right. There is no solution on the battlefield. So sooner or later, it's better sooner, to start negotiating those issues. And Hungary, in this respect, very supportive. And, from the beginning of the war, we have been advocating, for peace and immediate ceasefire. So we support those initiatives very much.
As I said, Ambassador, that it will be almost 3 years, and it doesn't seem like that Russia is in any mood to end its aggression against Ukraine. We've seen a lot of killings, a lot of devastation that has happened across Ukraine as well. But do you think that the Trump presidency now will pave the way for some kind of an end? Because there's a lot of exhaustion. There's a lot of, exhaustion in the battlefield as well. Do you think President Trump's presidency will have an impact on this war?
I think that it is a hope for the whole world. President-elect Trump, proved many times that he's against, using military force or military power to solve international conflicts. And during his campaign before the elections, he stated that he was really committed, to take immediate action to end this war. So I guess, it is a fresh hope for everyone to end the war, as soon as possible.
Well, let's hope so. One last question that I have for you, Ambassador, is that as an ambassador, you have been here for 1.5 years or more. But, what will be your key milestones in the months ahead in the India-Hungary bilateral relations? These certain important priorities for you that you want to set the base and the increase in the ties between the two countries?
As I see, first of all, I'd like to keep, that level of cooperation between Hungary and India, and if it is possible, to enhance, to deepen, the ties. We mentioned, many areas. So, probably at the moment, I mentioned the direct flight, between India and Budapest. It's very important, and I guess it will be a good asset, to enhance, our cooperation. Not mentioning tourism and trade and other areas. So high-level visits. It is the basis. It is the basis. As we were discussing, we have very close and friendly relations. And in my understanding, it is the basis, for working together, as we did it in the last, 76 years.
Well, on that note, wishing you the best, Ambassador, on your months and perhaps years ahead in collaboration between India and bringing the bilateral ties between India and Hungary together. Thank you very much.
Thank
it's
you.
been a pleasure.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you.